Welcome to Love and the Law. I'm PJ Campanero. This is our first podcast ever. So it's going to be a little rough. So I think first we got to introduce ourselves. I'm PJ Campanero, your expert legal authority in Augusta, Georgia. All things legal, but a lot of family law, some criminal defense, and a little bit of medical malpractice too. So I've been practicing for 27 years this year, which is a really, really long time.
Did you go to law school when you were like 12?
I was one of the youngest people. Actually, I think I was either the youngest person or the next youngest person in my law school class. But it's because my birthday's late. It's not because I'm a genius.
And clearly, because you're just not that old to have been practicing law that long. So
exactly. I try and maintain what I can for 27 years. So introduce yourself, Tanya.
okay, I'm Tanya Boyd, and I'm not an attorney. I'm just a help. I've been a paralegal for a really long time, and I was a paralegal in family law for about 20 years. And I think I got burnt out. I'm doing personal injury now, so still the legal world, just a different genre. But I'm so interested in a lot of the family law things, and I get to keep up with it by being friends with you, so that's helpful.
Well, I feel like family law touches all other areas of the law somehow. Like a lot of criminal mixes with family law. Like a lot of times you have somebody that's charged with a domestic violence charge, and then they obviously at that point want to get divorced.
Yes.
Because things have clearly gone in a direction that is not good.
Yes.
Substance abuse. A lot of times I have clients that are getting a divorce, but because they got a DUI. And so they've got substance issues.
Or they have little pill problems.
Yeah.
In the same time.
Yeah, sometimes it's a pill problem. Sometimes it's sex addiction, which can,
Oh, cheers to your first podcast.
Cheers to our first podcast. We are going to have a drink with each podcast. It's simple this time. We have done vodka, cranberry, and lime because we decided we're going to get this podcast running.
And we decided we already knew it was going to be rough, so.
But I actually have started an email for the podcast. So if you're listening and you want to give us a drink suggestion, you can email that to campaderopodcast@gmail.com. And I wanted loveandthelaw@gmail.com, and it was taken. Who has that?
I don't know. We should just email them and ask them.
We should be like, can I have my email, please?
But we might also want to be friends with them because they have a full name.
But I hadn't heard of Love and the Law. But that's what often, when I was on Law Call, that's what they would usually call that episode, Love and Law.
Love and the Law.
Yeah, because and family law encompasses a lot of different stuff. So, that's divorce, that's child custody, that's legitimation, which is where, people aren't married, but they have a child together. And so dad has to establish that he's the legal father of the child. That's child support. That's child support modifications. It's protective orders. It's a whole different slew of court actions that fall into what I call family law. So a lot of different things.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. And I think it's people at their most emotional time.
Yeah. I think that you're a good person for that because I think you have compassion, but I also think you know how to separate your feelings and advocate for your client without putting your emotions into it. And then, your client can be as emotional as they need to be, but then you're the level head to get through it. So I think you do a good job at family law.
I get sad, though, when people cry in my presence because I just don't think anybody should cry alone. And there's a lot of crying in family law.
Yeah, there is. And I'm a crier, just in general. All my emotions somehow turn into tears, like happy, sad. They all turn into tears. So I cried a lot with a lot of different clients. I still cry with clients.
Well, I think it's important to have compassion for these people because they're going through a really rough time. And I kind of see my role as, obviously, from the legal aspect, I'm trying to explain the law to them and make sure that their case fits under the law and we got to navigate the law because sometimes people think certain things should be the law and they're not.
Right.
My job is just sort of navigating them through that process.
Yes.
They just don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, and then they're just installed, and that's where you come in.
That's right. And so part of the reason I want to do the podcast is so we can talk about all the different aspects of family law, because I feel like I get asked questions about that more than anything else, other than like, what's the craziest case you've ever been on? I mean, there are so many. Sometimes it's hard to catalog all those. But the reason I want to do this was because people do have questions about family law, and they're legitimate questions. And sometimes I see, I'm on Facebook, of course, and there are certain Facebook groups that people are handing out legal advice when they're not attorneys, and I'm grit my teeth because I'm like, that is such bad advice. Like, do not tell that person to do that.
I see that a lot. Like, call her office and get a consultation. Don't listen to the Facebook lawyers.
Yeah, it's not good. And this podcast is not me. I'm your attorney. Family law and how it intersects with other areas of law, which is kind of what we're getting into today, because in our area where we are, the Augusta area, it encompasses, Augusta, Georgia, and sort of the suburbs of Augusta. And then also, we live right on the river, across the river from South Carolina. So Aiken County is another area that's very close to us. And so there's been recently this case involving, I think you pronounce her name, Javeayah Harris, a little 4-year-old who went missing. I think I looked up, the first report of her being missing was July 1st year. And so we'll kind of just discuss that case. But when it first popped up that she was missing, I think there was a lot of really strange things that came out of that. Like, the first report I think I read said that she was out by the chicken coops. This is at 8 o'clock at night by herself playing with the chickens. Well, that's my first kind of red flag.
No child that age should be outside playing by themselves ever. End of story. And definitely not outside at dark.
Well, I mean, 8, I guess. I was thinking about that. I was like, well, it's kind of still light at 8 here because it's summertime.
True.
So I'm like, and I try to think, because I have 2 daughters, I try to think, would I have let my 4-year-old go out and play that close to dark by herself at 4? And I'm like,
I wouldn't let my kids go out and play by themselves at that age. Absolutely not.
Right.
People are crazy these days. And not to mention, anything can happen. They could get hurt. They could wander off. Somebody could come snatch them. No.
I guess that's my thing. I was like, I don't think my 4-year-olds were ever unsupervised, because they were either with me, with my husband, in daycare. So, yeah, I don't know when I maybe felt comfortable to leave them alone for any extended period of time, but it definitely wasn't.
No.
And it definitely wasn't outside. So that was one red flag, that they sort of thought that was like a good story to begin with. Because I'm like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And then that dad was like at the laundromat for like an hour and a half. And then mom like gave birth the same night. That was the first report. I don't know if I think she must have gone into labor and then it turned to the next day.
Yes.
Like, cause like overnight. Yeah. That's what I've gathered from it. Obviously, mom was very pregnant, apparently, at this time. And so she gives birth overnight and then reports, her daughter missing and, claim that they think maybe somebody took her from the house.
Right.
So what was your first sort of like red flag about?
I think like the first thing that I dove into, within the first 3 sentences, I was like, oh yeah, he's done something to this child. Like his tone, the words that he used, he described her past tense. And I was like, okay, this man has done something to the child. I still didn't think the mom though. I just thought maybe the dad. And I was like, oh my God, this poor mom is pregnant, giving birth to another child, and he's done something to her child. I still did not want to believe that it was a mom that could do something to the child like that. That's just, it's unfathomable to me.
Well, I think, was it Meredith Anderson?
Yeah, she's been a great cover for this.
I listened to it, and he did use past tense, which I was like, why is he using past tense? obviously, if she's still alive. And, even people like where their kids have been missing for years, like they still use present tense because they expect them to come home.
Yes.
So, but he was like already, she's past because I think he said, we raised her right and she was a good girl. I don't really know why this had to go down this way. Because she was a good kid.
Right.
Like he was almost like, Mom didn't really have to do what she did. That's what I kind of took from it. But definitely, obviously, he knew something had happened.
For sure. And he over-explained the whole laundromat thing. So my first thing was, I was like, okay, what was he washing at the laundromat? I did think that. I was like, okay, he's taking bloody clothes and he's washed them at the laundromat. But then, it seems weird now, which maybe they still did that. But now that she had been dead for some time, I don't really know what he was doing at the laundromat. But he very much over-explained that. And that's just what I think people who are lying do. He was just way over-explaining that. Down to he bought 3 different kinds of candy or something at the store, and my wife and my kid wanted candy. I mean, he really over-explained it. And then I was at the laundromat, and then I came home, and I saw police everywhere. He didn't know they were there for his child. I mean, it was just so bizarre. I'm scared because someone has kidnapped my child. I'm telling a whole ass lie, and I got to cover it up. I got to go around all these avenues. I mean, it was just too much. It was crazy.
Yeah, the over-explaining thing, that seems like a lot. And obviously, in retrospect, he was definitely lying, because why would he need to get candy for his kid?
Which I'm curious for that to all come out. What are the details that leads them to believe that? I know they haven't revealed all that because they're still investigating, obviously. And what was also telling to me, I think the police knew from the get-go that something was wrong because they didn't let the community get involved in the search. And I understand why. They wanted to preserve the evidence. Although everybody wanted to help, even I would have went and trampled through the woods to look for this baby if we thought she was alive. But I think they knew, and that's why they kept everybody at bay, because they were trying to find her body.
Yeah, I noticed that about the search, because they literally, I think, told people don't come out to search, which I've not really seen that when you're looking for somebody. So I do think they probably had an idea from the beginning that this was an issue. But when I saw that they called in SLED and the FBI, I was like...
And I kept wondering why there wasn't an Amber Alert. Because, the first thing that we saw about this kid, I was out of town as well. So I saw, I think right before I left town is when there was a report of this missing child. And then maybe a day or two later is when I heard the interview, and I knew that he was Meredith Anderson with the dad. So I kept thinking, why isn't there an Amber Alert? Because I get Amber Alerts for kids in Colorado. It's not just right here.
They said it did not fit the criteria for an Amber Alert.
So that was I already thought. I watched way too many murder documentaries. I already knew in my heart that they had done something to this child. Still didn't want to believe Mom did it, but I knew somebody did it. I was like, okay, well, they didn't put out an Amber Alert because they know.
Right.
So... Or they knew that she wasn't missing and they wanted to find a body and they weren't looking for a live child.
Right. I guess what's so sad is that the kid can just go away and nobody knows.
Right. And because if it had been, during the school,
you would notice that, okay, Javeayah's not coming to school anymore. So that automatically triggers some protections to where DSS or DFACS gets involved and starts looking for the child. But when you got a child this age, they're kind of off the radar.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to look at this from the alleged criminal's perspective. Why report her missing now?
Right. As family started asking questions.
Is what family, because the new baby was coming, maybe family was coming in town to help with the new baby, or family was asking questions.
And I think, and it seems like the grandma was like, where is she? Because I feel like whoever produced this video of this child had to have been a family member that is in contact with her enough. And so people probably started asking questions.
Well, and when I did the pictures of her, and so when you think about when DSS or DFACS gets involved, or law enforcement, sometimes kids just have signs. They're not clean. They're not well kept. They have bruises on their body somewhere that you can see. But looking at, we only have a few pictures that we've seen in videos, but she looked well taken care of, clean, her hair's done, happy. And I think I also saw on one of the reports today that grandma, and I think it's the dad's mother, that's who has custody of the baby now.
Okay.
That's what she has custody of. She had been trying to get custody of Javeayah multiple times. So I'm interested to see if that comes out. Because all those records, if it's juvenile court or if it's a DSS or a DFAX thing, they don't put those records like on the public docket. So juvenile court's private because you're dealing with juveniles. There had to be a reason though that grandma was trying to get custody of her.
Guys, just give the baby to grandma. Like, why would you kill your child? Or even, I don't, you put in the arrest warrants, and I was reading those, and it was saying that basically she had an injury that they didn't treat. So let's just give a scenario here. Mom beats the child and she falls and hits her head or something, and that kills her. At what point, though, would you hit a 4-year-old child? That little girl was not a chubby little girl. She was a little tiny thing. At what point is it okay to hit a child that hard that it would cause that kind of injury, that it would kill the child? Like, that's still just terrible to me. Like, what clicks in your brain that you want to beat a child that hard that it causes an injury that would kill her?
I'm trying to think of it from that perspective, that mom just, and I say mom because the arrest warrant says when they were charging dad, it says that they didn't seek medical attention for the victim after knowing the victim suffered a severe head injury, and it does say head injury, and was obtained from physical abuse by the victim's mother. That's the arrest warrant against the dad. So basically, it says mom gave Javeayah a head injury, and dad knew about it, and they never got any medical attention for her. And so I don't know if she hit her. I don't know if she hit her and then she fell. But I feel like, obviously none of those scenarios are good. But from the criminal perspective, it probably would have been much better had you just called the ambulance and
just like tell what you did now.
But I also find it kind of odd when I was pregnant.
Everything was like, oh, the sweetest thing to me. A
Right.
commercial
Very,
made me cry.
I didn't feel so strong because you feel vulnerable because you have this child inside of you. And I just felt like not only do I have to protect myself, I have to protect my child. I can't imagine being ready to go toe to toe with somebody during that phase of my life.
I know. And a little tiny girl like that, like no matter what she did. I know that kids can be a handful, and I know that people get overwhelmed. And I mean, I probably popped my kid once or twice, but I never reached the level of wanting to beat my child for anything. I can't imagine.
Well, and they charged them with homicide by child abuse. So I'm interested to see. I think what the defense will argue is that, yes, there was an incident of child abuse. Maybe it was a one-time thing, whatever. Mom lost it. And as a result, the child died. And rather than let anybody know, they covered it up. That's what I suspect will be the defense perspective, or some kind of, mental incapacity or insanity defense.
Well, I'm not one of those people because I always support law enforcement. Like, I remember that Janae Carwell girl that went missing in Augusta, and it turned out the stepdad killed her, and the mom knew about it, so they're both in prison now. I think that was the closest case that I can think of to this, but the way let's get to how the press conference today. That sheriff, I can tell that this is probably one of the hardest cases they ever done. And I know that a lot of times when these big cases happen, that's the first thing they say, but you could just tell that man's whole demeanor. It is gut-wrenching to him. And he did a great job leading his people. He's done a great job working with other agencies. But I was shocked today. First of all, I was so confused why they were looking.
I think that they did.
Well, I was so shocked to learn about the chemicals and trying to dispose of the body through chemicals. That's like some Jeffrey Dahmer stuff.
Well, that's my other thing. Put a disclaimer out there. Everything is alleged. No, everybody's innocent until proven guilty. These are just the facts as we know them.
So allegedly.
I guess poured her into like a container or something, and then poured her into this pond.
Or a lake. It was a lake or a pond or
They called it. It's like Stumpy Pond or something.
Stumpy Reservoir or something.
Yeah.
I feel like the word reservoir was in that title.
And I'm not an Aiken County resident, so I go to court in Aiken County quite a bit, but I don't know all the reservoirs of Aiken County. But
apparently, I mean, they didn't just pick a random place, I don't think.
I don't know. I did not see that. But it reminded me of Chris Watts, who was the guy that killed his pregnant wife and his 2 little girls. And then, like, the little girls, he stuffed in, like, I mean, that just makes it worse. And obviously, it makes it worse legally because it adds another charge for disposing of a body or trying to hide a body, that kind of thing. But on top of that, to be able to do that to your dead child.
Okay, so it is called Cedar Creek Reservoir. It is in Fairfield County in South Carolina. And it is 100 miles from from her residence, from the parents. I'm like the sheriff now. I hate even say mom and dad and the parents. But for reference, so we can tell who's who, it's 100 miles from the family home. So that makes it even worse. So you kill your child. Then you try to dispose of your child's body in chemicals. Then you take said chemicals 100 miles on a little road trip and then dump them in this place known as Stumpy Pond or Dumpy Pond. I mean, that's just next level crazy to me. Like, I'm not saying that any murder is different than another. It's all murder. And that probably Jeffrey Dahmer was the most gruesome to me. And this is worse to me because it's a child and it's your child. And it just seems so terrible. And it seems like I hate that it was summertime because I feel like a teacher or somebody would have known something and maybe saved her. Now I'm curious to hear why Grandma wanted custody and why they didn't give her custody.
I'd be interested to see that as well. And that's kind of our tie-in with family laws, that oftentimes when there's child abuse involved, family law sort of intersects with criminal law. Because the problem is, and I honestly feel like sometimes they pursue the cases that they shouldn't, and then they don't pursue the cases that they should.
Yes.
There's no empirical study on that I know of. I just know that's what my experience has been.
Yes.
And so we don't really know if Grandma called Dia, because a lot of times it's supposed to be about reunifying families and making sure that kids obviously are safe. And so they offer like parenting classes, psychological evaluations. If she did and DSS dropped the ball on it, that's going to be a whole other interesting.
The 30 days is what's getting me. And I can assure you that if it is 2 days that I'm laid out on that child, I'm going over there. And if I don't see that child, I'm calling law enforcement. The 30-day thing is really...
Well, the classic 30-day murder child abuse case, Casey Anthony. And she completely got away with it, allegedly. The problem was you didn't really know how it happened. Right, we still don't know. Did she drown in the pool like she said? Casey Anthony drug her, which is what I think, and put her in the trunk, and she passed away. And she didn't mean to kill her that way, but that's how she died. And then left her in the trunk and drove around pretending to work at Universal Studios for a month and partied. I don't know, but that's what this case reminds me of. But think about that. Casey Anthony and Kaylee.
Yeah, she did it. I followed that case. Nancy Grace, buddy. Every night, me and my grandmother.
Hot mom.
I think that was probably... Until Alex Murdaugh came along, I was most obsessed with the Casey Anthony case. And it does remind me of Casey Anthony.
Well, we have a lot of big cases coming up here in our area. The Appalachia school shooter case is going to be tried in Columbia County. And I think I read they're actually getting Columbia County jurors, too.
Oh, wow. Don't even piss me off about that today. That's such a waste of money. I don't even know why we're trying that case again. Well, we do know why we're trying the case.
We do know.
But it's such a waste of taxpayer money.
Well, that's why we're trying.
Them South Carolina roads are never going to get fixed now.
They're not. And they're
every time you hit a pothole, just think about old Alex getting his second trial.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for spending. Excuse me, Alex.
Alex.
I don't even know what
Alex. I don't even know either because it's not spelled out.
And I don't care where you're from. I don't care if you're from South Carolina or Georgia. It's Alex.
Exactly.
That's how you say that.
Yes.
That's it.
Whatever. He doesn't even deserve to be called by his name. He's a monster too. But thank you for not getting the roads fixed now because we're trying to for a second time.
But I do kind of, it might give an opportunity to get to watch some pretty intense trials if I can take a little break from some of my trials.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see Murdoch at least a couple days.
Yeah, of it. At least one day of it. Definitely want to see him get on the stand.
Ooh,
if they're dumb enough to do that again. I would hope that they would. He's insistent, so he'll probably make them.
Yeah, I think he's running his defense.
Yeah. So Coop can stay awake this time, because bless him.
Well, the judge looks pretty no nonsense. And I've been in front of her one time on a criminal case out of, I think, Edgefield. And she was fair, and she was a good judge.
So, have you been in front of the judge that did the bond hearings for these two?
Who was it? I didn't see the name, so I don't know.
So in South Carolina, I know in Georgia, well, I don't know about all of Georgia, but let's just say our circuit, they do criminal judges also hear domestic cases. Do they do that in South Carolina, or do they have
special family court judges? So you're like assigned to family court. And we have great judges in Aiken County Family Court. I can't say enough about them. They're very good. And I actually like the process of family court in South Carolina a little bit better than I do in Georgia. Because in Georgia, we're just kind of throwing out some accusations, whereas in South Carolina, it's got to be in an affidavit. And
I feel like it's a little more orderly.
Yeah, I feel like that makes it narrows things down.
Yeah.
And there's not as much, surprise.
Yeah.
Which can be detrimental on both sides when you have super surprises. But the bond, I was not surprised that these two got denied bond whatsoever. And I think they may have gone in front of a magistrate. And I think they may get another shot at it for like a circuit court judge, but I don't know.
So I don't know, I've not done criminal law. And I really just rely on you when I have criminal law questions. But, so, is it like, I guess in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, these people have confessed and told where the body was in exchange for something. So do you think these people are, like, not going to get the death penalty now because they gave up the body or they gave up some information? Is that how that works?
I don't think they will pursue the death penalty on this because I think she will argue that it was sort of a heat of passion. She just kind of lost it. Or she was going through some kind of pregnancy insanity thing. Or
Prepartum to your postpartum?
Right. I don't know. I just foresee something like that. And so what she's charged with carries 20 to life. So, if they got life, I think it should be life without parole. But I foresee that. And I bet they will probably plead. I think they will give him less because I don't know who decided to tell the story first.
Yeah,
something tells me he did and said, she's the one who did it, but I didn't know what
I can 1000% see that after the rambling in his Meredith and Anderson interview. I can 1000% see him cracking in 5 minutes.
Yeah, so I foresee that being kind of the tale is that, he confesses, and then they go in.
Sophie Cunningham.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
And then they go in to talk to her and say, well, your boyfriend and her husband is telling a little bit different story.
And they are legally married, right?
I think I saw that somewhere, but they have different last names.
Well, I saw that, but then they keep referring to them as married. So.
Well, but I have clients all the time that come in and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's my wife," and I'm like, "Okay, when did you get married?" And they're like, "Oh, we're not like married like that." I'm like, "You mean like legally?"
Like,
Yeah.
you know, a piece of paper.
Yeah, we need that. We need that paper.
Yeah.
You know that. So sometimes, it's a little fluid.
Yes.
So I'd be interested, or maybe she just never changed her last name. But she had a job. It said at the bond hearing she worked, I think, at Tricom or something like that.
Yeah.
And he had a job as well. I think he worked for maybe like DA. Is that like a-
Generally, when something like this happens, you know, which there were some weird posts on Facebook. 'Cause, you know, I have to go on a deep dive. And
I tried to look at her Facebook, but I couldn't find anything.
well, there was like
I mean,
a
I saw like a
lady.
picture.
There was like a lady on Facebook who was like, she was so pissed off and like raising Cain because she's like, I called the sheriff's department. I heard this baby in the woods at 4 a.m.
I did see that.
Okay, well, clearly you didn't. And, you know, maybe it was like a thing, like, it was just on her brain, so she thought she heard something. Or maybe she did hear an animal or something. I'm not discounting what she thought she heard. But, you know, like, all this. But I saw that, and then I saw maybe somebody posted about grandma. But usually, like, people come out of the woodwork, and they'll be like, oh, I know this lady. She's my neighbor. She's a piece of crap. Like, her kids are in the yard all the time. But I haven't seen anything. Like, nobody's come forward to say, like, I know these people. Or even, like, let's just say, not say anything negative. Like, sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, I could never see her do anything like this. She was a great mom. We had play dates at the park or something. Like, nobody, it's like very hush hush. Like, as far as people that knew them, nobody's saying anything.
Well, I think that's part of the, because of her age and her not being in school. And I mean, if you think about it, when you have a kid like that in that age, I mean, you can keep them hidden from the world.
But mom had a job, so where was the kid?
Maybe
while
she
was
worked
at work?
from home.
True, because
A lot of people work from
yeah,
home
that's
now.
true. And just the way that they described her job, it could definitely be a home job.
Both sides. If my kids disappeared,
I can still hear the little girls next door that play, and if I didn't hear them for a few days, I would wonder where they were.
well, and I think her neighbor said that she hadn't really seen her lately.
And there is a lady that I noticed she keeps going on Facebook Live. It looked like it was a burn barrel. So I'm wondering if that was the barrel that they put the chemicals in. There's a lady that keeps doing a Facebook Live. Every day when I come home, like they're outside